Welcome to our podcast, Beyond Warwick. Joining us today is Andrew Perolls, CEO at Greengage Solutions. Welcome, Andrew.
Pleased to be here.
Greengage Solutions is a very well-known and respected sustainability consultancy to the meetings industry, and you've been incredibly supportive to Warwick Conferences on our own journey. I'll be interested to understand about your own journey and what inspired you to launch Greengage in the first place.
Well, I feel very fortunate because I spent many years working in the travel and meeting sector. But at the same time, in the last few years, I really developed an interest in the planet and some of the challenges that are facing it. And I remember thinking to myself, wouldn't it be great if I could bring those two passions together?
Yeah.
And to start a business which would help industry members on their sustainability journey. And so I went away, did some studying, surrounded myself with some expert people, and in March 2020 I launched Greengage. And I launched the business to have three things. One, to be able to certify hotels that are sustainable. Secondly, to provide consulting. Mm-hmm. And thirdly, to help people measure carbon emissions.
Fabulous. So I've heard you talk about Greengage Solutions. It's inspiring and empowering organisations to create meaningful change. Can you expand on what this means in practice?
Yes, quite correct. Inspiring and empowering is in our mission statement, and that's certainly what we try to do. And when it comes to hotels and meeting venues, we know for sure that consumers and businesses are absolutely looking for a more sustainable proposition. And actually extends to holidays as well. Mm-hmm. Generally, consumers want something that's more eco-friendly. And so what we did was to launch EcoSmart, a certification, so that people would be sure that the hotel they were staying at or the meetings venue they were attending, it was sustainable. So that's what we launched. And we particularly wanted to orientate this towards the events and travel industry. And because certification is a great way of making sure that you verify independently how good somewhere is, we felt that that's great. It's marking the homework of somewhere like Warwick Conferences. Mm-hmm. But wouldn't it be good if we could just take it a stage further and help people on that journey, not just mark the homework? And so that's very much been the principle we've taken, where we guide people through the process and help them get from one stage to another and keep that continuous. And one of the great things about that is that we find a lot of venues improving all the time. So we accredit people from bronze to platinum. Mm-hmm. You started your journey, you were very good at Warwick Conferences, you were gold.
That's
but
right.
Then you became platinum. Mm-hmm. And actually over a third of our venues improve over a year period, which is great.
Absolutely. And for us, it was obviously quite a journey, but we were really excited when we got a platinum status just before Christmas, which is great for us as a business. Yeah. So we've talked about empowering venues, but turning now to empowering event organisers. Yeah. What advice and support can you give to organisers on their criteria, which is ever-changing, to make sure they're finding the perfect partner as a venue for their events?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that I think sustainability is consistently now in the top three considerations for meeting buyers. Mm-hmm. It's a really important thing. But actually, of course, sustainability is a very wide topic. So what are the things you should look for? And I would group them into a few areas. One would be energy and carbon emissions. It's a real big one. You've got waste and recycling. Mm-hmm. You've got plastic, trying to get rid of single-use plastic, choosing a venue that really is meaningful about water conservation, food and beverage, And of course the whole guest experience, whether it be the room, the meeting room, or the whole social environmental ethos of the organisation as well. So all of those things come together.
Yes.
And what we say is the best way for an event organiser to make sure all of these are in place is get a certification, because that's like a big tick in the box. But I think the thing that's become very topical is measuring carbon emissions.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's why we have a thing called the Carbon Toolkit, specifically for that, and measuring events, which has become measuring an individual event is now quite an important component.
Yes. It's a great toolkit, and it's empowered us as an organisation to actually create our own carbon calculator, which we will be launching soon.
Brilliant.
Which will empower clients to measure their events and offer them choices to reduce further impact, really, which is obviously a great thing to be able to do. And something that people should be doing, measuring the carbon footprint of any event, really.
Well, there's an old saying, what gets measured gets managed.
Yes.
And I think one of the great benefits of this is if you can measure what could happen and then make amendments, So, for example, if you were in a conference reducing the amount of beef served, you can be pretty sure that would have a significant impact on the event, as would choosing a venue where people can travel there by public transport. So that you can make decisions based on something you can measure.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about offsetting within the industry. Us at Warwick Conferences and the University of Warwick, we really prioritise reducing the carbon footprint rather than offsetting as such. Mm-hmm. What do you think that companies should be doing, and what are your thoughts on offsetting?
Right, very good question. So, first of all, my first point is that offsetting is not a substitute for taking actions.
Yes.
Anybody can make a company, an event, carbon neutral simply by offsetting and doing nothing else. Mm-hmm. And we absolutely wouldn't recommend that. So any event will lead to carbon emissions, whether it be people travelling to the event, or whether it's the power used or the food eaten. All of these things create carbon emissions and other greenhouse gases for that matter. And so it's really important to reduce them as much as you possibly can, probably by measuring them, to get as lower possible an emissions figure as possible. There'll always be something that you're not able to reduce, and so my suggestion then is, by all means do offsetting. Probably the key thing I would say is just be careful with carbon offsetting, because it can be a bit like paying somebody to diet for you,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the important thing about offsetting, I would say, if you are doing it, is make sure it's certified by one of the key certifications like Verra Gold Standard, and also make sure it's a full audit trail to it.
Yes.
So be careful. And I would say that a real good rule of thumb is to choose a project, know what the project is that's going to be used as an offset, and make sure, first of all, that project entails a reduced use of fossil fuels, and also that it helps the local community as well. Two really good things.
No, good point, absolutely. So the UK food waste figures are staggering, with hospitality contributing 10% of the total waste, which of course is a real issue for so many venues. So how can we effectively manage and reduce food waste while still being able to give our clients the same level of choice and not compromise on the quality?
Right, another very good question, and it's something that's so important within this industry, because food tends to be part of any event. People look forward to it.
They do.
And it's got to be right. The thing is, waste is a big issue, and I've seen some interesting data around, particularly when it comes to buffet, which is obviously a typical thing you get at an event, where often it's around 20% that's wasted. And the key things that are wasted tend to be vegetables, salad, bread, dessert. And we all know you start at one end of a buffet, that looks quite good, I'll have some fish, but why not have some meat with it and maybe some spaghetti bolognese? You kind of go the whole way. And then at the end, don't necessarily want to eat it all. No. So it's a bit of that's definitely an issue, I would say. So I think it's very important for a venue to start off with to treat waste seriously and realise there are quite a few different segments of waste, from the packaging that ingredients come in to the food preparation area, and there's tends to be things left, don't there, like bits of vegetable bones, that sort of thing. And now increasingly we're seeing skilled chefs who are using more and more and more, so there's less waste at that stage. And then, of course, things like making sure that there's less left on people's plates. So that hence being very careful with things like not putting too much food out. You know, and it's one of the traditions of our industry that you have a banquet that looks amazing. But actually, I think if you position it well with a client and with the delegate themselves, that this is going to be a sustainable event and this is what we're doing, people understand it. And you could probably reduce the amount of food served by 20% simply by communicating it better.
Absolutely. I think we need to be bolder about our messaging. And like you just mentioned there, talking to the clients about it, so they're not going to expect it to be a massive buffet. And when they understand and then they're talking to their delegates, then actually that's a good piece, isn't it? That actually there is not going to be a lot of waste. And generally people don't want to waste food at home. So absolutely, people should buy into that, really. So I think that's really key. Are there any other tips that you can share with us about saving energy?
I think there is. I mean, when it comes to having a meeting, I mean, some of these things are pretty obvious, really, but it's so good. If you have a room with natural daylight in it, that is going to make a very, very big difference, partly because it's nice to be in a room with natural daylight, but also, obviously, you're going to need less power for that. Also, very good if you've got several rooms for a conference that you can independently change the temperature and the lighting, so you switch off what you don't need, and it doesn't need to be freezing cold for everybody with air conditioning. Do it at a reasonable temperature. If you've got accommodation, you know, it's become very well known, hasn't it, that you have this practice of put your towels in the bath if you want them washed. And that is good, because actually the laundry of bed sheets and towels and all that stuff is very, very high energy consumption. So what's something that's just very ordinary now is actually very well worthwhile if people use it. And actually, let's not forget energy for people getting from home to the event either. And so it's really good if a venue has good public transport, because that's much less energy used. And as we now have so many more electric vehicles around, I really think that those venues who have electric vehicle chargers are really, really going to see more business, because increasingly people are choosing as a key reason for a venue that there are electric chargers, particularly if they've got a fleet of electric vehicles. So I know you've got a good number. I think you're going to have 16.
That's right. Yes,
installed this year.
By the end of this year, which is going to be amazing. And going back on the accommodation side of it, we have a skip your room hanger that you just place on the door, because again, like you mentioned, when you're at home you wouldn't be changing your bed sheets and your towels, so why do it when you stay in hotels? And it's given our customers that choice, isn't it? In terms of the environment. So really good points there.
Because I think it's important, really, that guests are participating. It's not just what a venue does, it's how people interact with it. Definitely.
So sustainability values and behaviours are increasingly being rolled out throughout organisations, but how can we install these into new working practices and encourage staff adoption and continued engagement?
Right. I would say, First thing is you need to have sustainable approach really supported from the top. That's absolutely key. And then once you've done that, it's so important to involve other people within an organisation. And, you know, I've found it's pushing at an open door. Everybody's interested in this. And so a lot of venues now have green teams, and I've never once found an organisation where they didn't get volunteers for that. If it had been to help on a cost-saving committee, something like that, maybe less.
Yes.
But with this, people are always interested. So I think a green team is a really good thing. And then communication. And this is a particular area where I would definitely compliment you, Justine, and Warwick Conferences. You've got a roadmap.
That's right.
It's totally clear. It's everywhere you look
Yep.
on the wall. I can visualise it right now. I can say there's 8 categories on there.
That's right, yeah.
And it's as effective for internal use, people knowing what you're doing and reporting on where you are, as it is guests who can see very clearly in 30 seconds what it is you're doing to be more sustainable.
Yeah, and we wanted to produce that because it is our journey, but we wanted to take our clients and our staff on that journey as well. And we're going to be doing some more work on that because we're going to be breaking down these sections of it and actually putting those around the venues. So where it's like the water part of it, we can put that near the coffee machines in the lounge or, you know, somewhere near the accommodation. So it's really important to be shouting about all the stuff that we're doing. But it gets everybody interested. So that when clients are then speaking to a waiter or somebody in the bar, everybody knows the journey that we're doing and we can have good conversations with our clients.
Yeah, I think that's really, really, really important. That everybody in the organisation gets it.
Yes.
And also, setting targets is one thing, but people just need to know there's progress being made. So when you can show there's progress, it encourages further progress.
Yeah, definitely. So there are many ways to promote and enhance biodiversity in your business. At Warwick, we are continuing to enhance our campus, including planting trees, flower meadows as well. We have bug hotels scattered around the campus. We are actually a hedgehog-friendly campus as well. We've got a bronze award for that. And we conduct monthly species surveys. We have our own Warwick Watch that staff and students can continue to look at on that. And we also have what's called a Warwick Wombles litter pick as well, which I've actually done on a couple of occasions, which is great, where we just go around the campus picking up any litter that people have left behind. So do you have any best practices that you can share with us?
I think probably you should be sharing them with me.
Okay.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, that is really, really good. You're using the land you've got here.
Yes.
To very good effect, and it's really important, you know, because I was just looking this morning at a headline in the papers which said that in the UK 56% of wildlife species are in decline and 15% are in danger of extinction. So we absolutely have to do something about this. And of course, sustainability is very much about biodiversity, as much as it is about things like carbon emissions. So the brilliant thing is you've got plenty of room here and you've got wildlife around that you can interact with and help. But I've even found in places which are like right in the centre of a city, I remember being taken up to the roof of a university building, and there was a set of 3 beehives. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
They harvested the honey and then they used the honey and gave that to guests, which I thought was very good. Bees are definitely in.
Yes. We have our own hives here.
Excellent.
Which is great, and produce our own honey as well, which is great.
Excellent. Well, that's really good to hear. And of course, planting of trees, really good where that can be done. And I know you've done that here as well. How many have you planted?
We've planted quite a number now, and we will continue to do that as well. I think it's over 500 now that we've done, which is really good.
Yes. And so tree planting's very in vogue. The other thing that I would so encourage people to do where it's possible is plant hedges. It's people less think about doing that, but actually they're so fantastic for biodiversity because they provide a corridor for animals. Often they provides food for them, shelter, etc., etc.
Yes.
So that's really good as well, and they're very good at sequestering carbon.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, yeah, we have quite a bit of wildlife, and I don't know if you've ever driven in. I've done it on a few occasions where we've got lots of geese, and there are occasions when the cars are stopping. They actually use the crossing to cross over from the Slate to Scarman, which is great to see. So the impact of large face-to-face events on the environment is well documented, and we fully understand that the virtual events are much more sustainable due to the reduction in, obviously, travel emissions. But as an industry, we all want to meet face-to-face. That's how we work. Networking is really important to us. Do you have any insights into the evolution of meetings and events in a sustainable, conscious world?
Yeah. I mean, for the events industry, there are the three big ticket items, I'll call them, where the negative effects on the environment are energy consumption, travel and transport to an event, and waste. So it's really, really important that every venue and for every event, those three things are thought about.
Yeah.
And I think the industry's come a long way. But still, we see things like exhibitions where carpet is disposed of in landfill afterwards.
Yes.
And it's a little bit like if you imagined having a party at your house and you thought, well, I'll have a new carpet. After the party, you thought, actually, I'll chuck that now.
Yeah,
you would not do that.
No.
So I think things like this were just not recognised. Same with exhibition stands. 1,000 stands in an exhibition, landfill.
Yes.
And that isn't acceptable anymore. So it's really important that everybody takes that into account. And actually, back in the COP26, we've gone a couple further from that now, but the one in Glasgow, there was a pledge by the Joint Meetings Industry Council, the well-known JMIC, and that was to reduce carbon emissions in events by 50% by 2030.
Yeah.
So that's a pledge of the industry. So we better make sure, given that it's only 5 or so years left, that we take that seriously.
So the meetings and events industry has a powerful voice, and thankfully collaboration is working and becoming more and more mainstream. So we do it as an organisation. We talk to other venues. We're always sharing best practices. Being platinum members, obviously, with yourselves means that we're part of the inner circle, which means that we get to meet with other platinum accredited venues, and we can share those best practices, really. For individuals, how can they get more involved in that sustainability journey if they want to?
Yeah, it's so important to get involved, isn't it? I think if you're working for an organisation and there's an opportunity for training in this area, take it. Take it with both hands. And things like carbon literacy.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people struggle over this, all this scope 1, scope 2, carbon net zero, what it all means. So just to get an idea, a good grounding in that is a great thing. So training in that, general courses in a responsible future. Those are really worth doing. So training's one thing. There's some great industry organisations out there. I know you're very heavily involved, Justine, in the Beam and MIA.
Yes. They
are very good, and the whole ethos of that is making it happen and helping people understand it and be motivated and so on. So I think that's good. We mentioned green teams. Great. If you've got a green team in your organisation, volunteer to be part of it. Be part of making something happen. I'd say go and visit a platinum venue. EcoSmart Platinum, that's our highest level. We've got about 30. Warwick Conferences is platinum.
Yes.
You know, just go and have a look round. You'll see what it means to be to be sustainable. And I think, sustainable events are cool now. Use your imagination and make sustainability something exciting, because it's exciting, it's creative, and at the end it's doing something really good as well.
Brilliant. And I would definitely say that, I do speak to other venues, I do go and visit other venues. I've even gone to venues saying I want to come and view so I can nick some ideas, because I think it's great to be able to share sustainability and all that you're doing. So I would encourage people definitely to do that as well.
Yeah.
So Andrew, I want to thank you for your time today. It's been very inspirational. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledges and all the best practices that you do at Greengage. And may this journey continue and may our relationship continue as well within the sustainability world. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.